Hi everyone, in today's live stream I will be removing this crown molding all over the room, and then I'll be replacing it with a nice PVC molding, because this is kind of old school stuff, and there's much more finances would have been involved if I would just take the section that originally planned to be installed, because that there was like a section that was built up over here and it should have also crown molding. So that's why we are changing the whole thing, since it's gonna be cheaper than doing just a section. Okay. Hi everyone, thank you for joining. So this is a pretty old house, and all this trim was installed just with the finished nails back in the days. And it has some electrical stuff that goes, as you can see, on the top of the walls, which I don't know why, but it also kind of interferes over here. I like this kind of pry bar. It has different notches, and it allows you to get into the tight spot as well. I always put some kind of piece not to damage the actual surface I'm working with. So let's see if I can grab that thing. Almost. And then it should be easier from here. Whoever painted it just did it with flat ceiling paint, so it's kind of yellowish. Hi everyone, thank you for joining. How Chris? How do you look? No 4 days weekend? No, just one. I just had one, so I'm continuing. I have some trim over here. Trying to build my reference tree and client base, so maybe I will take longer weekends, but it will happen a little bit later. But for now, just trying to work one by one. So just finished the backsplash in this house. It was a porcelain one, so if you guys haven't watched the stream, you can feel free to check it on the channel. And I went yesterday and did some grout, but I used a sanded caulk for it, and it worked just perfectly great because I didn't want to spend time cleaning the grout, and it's much easier in future to clean the joints since it's like more shiny than the actual grout. So you can see these two doors, like closet doors. I also installed them over here. There was no doors, so whoever put the flooring and everything, they didn't put the doors because they figured that they're not gonna fit, so they decided just not to. They said that it's a custom stuff, but I ended up cutting the bottom of the door and putting some extra lumber inside, like clamping it, gluing it, and then I also had to bump each jamb slightly to the side so I can have at least some room for gapping. And as you can see, these doors, they are in place. So there is another closet in this house that I'm gonna be working to. Okay. Let's try from the ceiling. And now we can do it from the wall. I like this bar. It's like a trim puller, and it has the section here that helps you to kind of like bump it from the wall. I haven't seen some of them. You can get them at Amazon. That it's like two-piece. So you put it in, you hammer it, and then it has another piece here. So you hammer that section here, and it actually pushes that lever to pull your trim. I don't know how good they are, but I saw them, and I was like, it's kind of cool. But I got these from Lowe's, I think. It will be also fun time for me to replicate that piece of trim since it has the door casing, and but I'll probably keep it just to take the measurements from it, not to mess with all that stuff again. So how are you all doing, guys? Let me know in the chat. Hi, thank you everyone, thank you for joining. Let me switch the camera angle so you can see me removing that stuff here. Thank you for joining everyone, guys. Like this live stream and subscribe to the channel. I'm hoping that you all have a nice Christmas and nice weekends, guys, if you are resting. If not, thank you for joining me. Anyways, that one would be a challenge. I would have to score it with my knife because it's caulked. And the trim that I'm gonna be using here instead will be made out of vinyl, like PVC. So there will be no need actually to paint the trim because I'll be using also pin nails. and it will allow me to have almost invisible nail holes there. There is no need to fill them because they are almost invisible, and the PVC looks completely white by itself. So now it looks like the actual guy trimmed this casing to look like it was. So he left that piece of crown behind it, which is insane. So the doors were installed probably after the crown molding was installed. So I would have to use a multi-tool and kind of trim it. That's crazy. Hi everyone, thank you for joining, guys. Like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. I will probably turn on my wee because I would have to, or I can pull that piece of trim, which I don't want to do. Probably I will actually pull that trim and I'll just recaulk it because it will be easier for me. And then I can install my trim and it might even fit there, so I might not need to notch it. So let's see. It's a pretty old house, and this house pretty much it's like an investment property for the customer. So, and surprisingly they really worry about how everything is gonna be here, so they take care of like which materials to use on the countertop to make them like safe for whoever will get this house. So I really like the way that they care about people who live here, even though they haven't met these people yet, but they already and they could have just also left those opening pretty much, but they decided to have me to put all that stuff. So we'll see. I'm gonna pull that piece. Yeah. Seems like to me that there is a full size crown piece over there, and it feels like so, at least. Put a lot of nails, guys. Yeah, I'll recaulk that stuff and I'll touch it with a paint, because anyways it's gonna be slightly damaged. They actually, I don't know how they did it. They notched both pieces. They notched casing and they notched that thing. I don't know what was the point, but so that is not full size and this is not full size, which doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, but it is what it is. Hi, Francis Capelgrino. Hi, Francis. Hi, Francisco Costa. Hi. Hi, everyone, guys. Like this live stream, please, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, everyone, for joining me this Friday. And I'm trying to remove that crown molding for it to be reinstalled with a different one. Yeah, I don't know why how like he notched the casing and he notched that thing, which absolutely makes no sense for me. Why do you do two pieces, not just one of them? He could have installed like a crown full size and then do the casing, but I just can't figure it out. So okay, so this one is not caulked. This side, I'll just trim it and we'll go from there. Just like that. Yeah, this is how it usually goes. You expect it to take just a little bit of the time, and it takes more time because of some unusual stuff like that. And this piece was caulked, so this is not a 45-degree cut. This is just a straight piece that goes all the way to the wall. And this one is 45 that they caulked to have better angle, which I totally agree is a nice decision, but it makes my life harder on this point. Again. Okay. So we'll see. Now I have to deal with this one to be able to kind of twist it. Yeah, that is just, it's just interesting. Why would they do like both pieces like okay. How are you all doing, guys? How was your Christmas? Or you're still in a Christmas mood? And let me know in the chat where you're watching from, which state, which country. If it's not United States, I do this crown molding installation in Tennessee, Tri-Cities. So if you have any questions, or maybe you happen to be from this area and you need something like that, let me know. Hi, Uncommon Woman, thank you for joining. Thank you everyone for joining me. Guys, give this live stream a like by double tapping the screen and subscribe to the channel. So let's guys remove that piece. Let's remove this one. Okay, so let's pull this one out. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And this one, you see, so let me show you. They ran this casing on a table saw and they cut it like, so it's a casing, and usually you have 90-degree here, and they cut it, and they also notched that piece over there, just like that. You see, it's all kind of uneven. So that is interesting. So I'm gonna remove that piece now, hopefully, somehow. It's just too much stuff. Nails go first. Yeah, these are some nice old school carpentry nails. That would be cool to be able to just slide my piece in without needing to cut it, since they already notched the casing. So we'll see. I'll check that. Maybe it will work, but maybe it won't. So let's try to pull that piece out. It kind of goes by pieces. Okay, it's already started cracking, so I'll better. Okay, almost like I wanted it to be. Okay, so yeah, they notched that thing. I don't know why. I can actually put my crown molding and trim the top of the casing since it's already hollow, but it might not look as nice as if I would trim the actual crown molding piece. So where's my piece of wood? I always like to put some stuff like that just to not to damage the surface, because if you will not put anything, you will most likely crack that stuff. Okay, a few more nails. I should have had my eye protection, but you see I have a nice reaction. And it's probably somewhere here, my eyes protection. Guys, let me know in the chat where you're watching from. Which state, which country. How tall are you looking? Let me see how tall I am. Why are you asking? You think I'm not tall enough to to proceed? So it says 5'8". I don't know. I still keep all the sizes and measurements in metric in my head, so I'm 180 centimeters, which is too hard for me to transfer in my head. Okay, so let's get rid of that piece. Yep, just like so. So they sprayed that whole thing, the ceiling, and then they rolled it with that flat paint, and it's still yellow, because you have to, like, First thing, these panels probably they are not supposed to be painted at all. Second thing, you have to seal it first with a oil-based primer or acrylic alkyd. And then only after you can put the paint and it won't be as yellow as it is here, but probably whoever was painting wasn't thinking much of that. But when you have your ceiling yellow, it's not cool. It's not cool at all. Okay. Perfect. That's perfect. Let's do this one. Yeah, I like this pry bar a lot. It has those like 3 notches and it allows you to go as tight to the wall as possible. And just with a standard pry bar, you won't be able to do that. With that thing, it is possible. So, thank you for joining our short ceilings. Yeah, it's how tall you think I'm like crazy tall. I'm not. So it's all this just crazy ceilings. Thank you for your likes and everything, guys. Like and subscribe. Double tap that screen to give it a like, and subscribe to the channel as well, so you can see more videos like that. Me messing up with all this stream stuff and other stuff like tile work. Okay. Okay, so now that is done and it's also straight. So they coped everything, which is a sign of a nice carpenter, but for me it won't matter because I remove all that stuff. And I'm removing this crown molding because, let me show you why. So you see that section, it was built like this one. So there is no crown molding. They removed the piece from here, from the other side, and that thing needs to get another molding. So just to make the custom trim for here and here, that will match the rest. The wood shop charged me, they said it would cost like $350 just to make some kind of custom blade for it, which I understand. And also they said another $100 for something else, which I don't remember. And then it's gonna be $2.10 cents for each linear feet, which, like, for this particular case, it doesn't worth it, I think. So what I ended up doing, I ended up getting that, like removing that whole thing, and I got the PVC trim that will go in place of this one. And that trim, I got it from Lowe's, and it was $5, a little bit over $5 for a footer, which pretty much came to around $70 with tax for the whole thing, which which I found quite cool. So I should have scored it with a knife, but this paint actually, like, I won't even call it paint, because like the cheapest paint for the ceiling usually it's like chalk, so it makes that crack by itself and it doesn't peel because it doesn't form any kind of film like you would have with satin paint or semi-gloss paint. So, but anyways, it's better to cut it just not to have any stuff fall in my eye from the top. Okay, now I'll do that as well, but after I'll change the camera angle, guys. Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you for your support. Consider subscribing to the channel and giving this live stream a like by double tapping your screen, so then more people can join and we can have some thoughtful conversations, or just share our experiences if you want to while I'm installing the stream. So yeah, I mean, you see those guys, they, like, back in the days, they knew what they were doing. They got 22.5 degree to just connect the trim, which is the right way to do it, because I seen a lot of people just come and they do straight cut, and it's never gonna look nice when you do like 90 degree cut. Okay, so I have to get my piece of wood, just not to bend anything, and remove all these nails. Okay. I also like to put my ear protection, even though I know it's not that loud, but like when you hammer with your hammer and you hit that metal kind of pry tool, it makes such a loud noise, and I got an ear infection at some point when I was, I think, like 20 or something, and after that my hearing is not the same, so I can, like, I got too sensitive to those like loud noises, like hitting metal with metal. It's quite painful. And I remember I thought that I would lose my hearing at that moment, because at some point I wasn't hearing nothing, just like some whining noise, something like just like, and it was quite scary. I thought I'll be never able to hear, but I managed to get well. And I had some conversation with guys who do like concrete works, and they do different stuff. They also use different pneumatic tools and hammer, and they were telling about how you can get an ear infection from wearing the headphones. I mean, not the headphones alone, but also the hearing protection as well. So we were talking about which hearing protection works better, and the best hearing protection that I had, it was called Pelter. It was, I think, made by 3M, and it was really great. Like, you close your ears and you don't hear almost nothing. So after we remove that crown molding, I'm gonna go and measure everything. At least I would check every corner, the outside corner, I mean, and I'll save those degrees to be able to make nice outside corners, because if you just cut them 45, they will never look nice if you have crooked walls and corners that are not 90 degrees. So you have to use angle finder for it. And I mean, if you want to have nice end result, of course, I've seen guys just using 45 degree, they just slap it in place and then they just caulk it. They would say caulk it, just caulk it. So I'm scoring it not to have the cracks and not to feel more paint than I need. And I know that trim that I got is slightly smaller than the one that is here, but after I install it, I will just caulk with Dynaflex the top and the bottom, so it will blend right in. Okay. Yeah, I wish I would just have a few pieces that I can install on that side and be free of this hustle of removing everything, but like it's always something in construction, in remodeling, it never works. Never works the way you want it to work, so that's just fine. I'm gonna be moving the light so I can see it better and you can see me as well. Yeah, that whole ceiling is yellow. You look at it and it's just yellow. Because they should have primed it with the right primer. You can even get primer and think that it will be not yellow, but if it's just a standard primer, it won't work. It should be, like I said, acrylic alkyd or oil-based. And I don't know, I talked to the painter who does it for a living, and he told me, at least it was the case when I lived in Ohio, he said that they're trying to get rid of the oil-based products. So they were not selling oil-based primer anymore. And he bought quite a few of them just to be able to use them over the years. And because he said like this acrylic alkyd is something that they want to stick with. And it's like environment safe and all that. Okay, I'll probably start just pouring it. Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you for staying tuned, guys. Like this live stream by double tapping the screen and consider subscribing to the channel. So I remember I used to get the primed pine trim and just paint it and do all that stuff. And sometimes people they don't understand that primed pine, it doesn't equal painted. So you give the price to install it, and then people realize that they need to paint it. And if you tell them price to paint it, they might be like, "Oh, it's kind of too much or something." So then I started noticing that PVC trim, like vinyl PVC, they started selling it, and it's much more better to have it than just primed pine or something, because you don't have to paint it unless you want to. Like if you do nice and accurate work on it, you can just have nice and clean finish, and it looks like just a perfectly painted white stuff. Of course, it has that plasticky feeling and it doesn't have the wood texture, but anyways, when people just smear the paint all over it, like you don't see that. You don't see that texture a lot. Now I'm just pulling those nails not to be on my way, and I'll collect all of them a little later. It's not a big deal. Just like so. Perfect. I'm hoping that I haven't forgotten anything. Should be nice. Yeah, this one actually gives me a hard time. Some reason. Okay, here it goes. Perfect. And the wireless piece, I think, yeah, it's the last piece that needs to be removed. This is the very last piece. So let's see if I'll slide it. Yep, just like so. It goes right off. Perfect. Yeah, they could have just painted the ceiling and maybe even use just caulk this gap. It's not quite big if they were that against all that stuff. Hi Gilbert Dela Cruz. Hi. Thank you for joining, everyone. So you can see this blue tape on the wall here, over there, here. So pretty much I marked. Hello, Caroline Butler. Hi. Thank you for joining. Consider subscribing to the channel and like this live stream. So now, when I just finished the crown molding removal, which was an old school stuff, that section needed to be done at first, and because it was quite expensive to get the custom trim that will make this old trim, and anyways it would need to be painted. So we decided with the customer to go just with a removal and remove the whole thing. And let me show you the trim that I got instead. So just to illustrate, on the right side here, this is the old trim, this is the old crown molding, and this is the new one. So I'll replace it, and it's a PVC, so you see it's already white. It's extremely hard to make it dirty, and if you use a small nails, which I'll be using 23 gauge pin nailer, you can nail them and almost see no nail holes at all, and it will look just nice. And it doesn't have to be painted unless you really want to, or you want a different color than white. So that stuff, you see, it was just, it has all these brush marks, holes, and all the like even roller and all that stuff. So it doesn't make any sense to kind of, this needs to be anyways finished. So that stuff can just go installed, and if you do a nice job, and then you can caulk it with nice caulking, not just cheap Alex Plus, but something like Dynaflex or something that has more durable finish, then it just blends with the ceiling so you don't see it. So that trim is slightly smaller than the gap, and it's about maybe like 1/8 of an inch that it will be sticking out. But I will caulk it after, and it will just blend with the crown molding. And I'll be using that Dynaflex thing, so it will be just perfect. So as I said, you can see the blue tape on the walls, and it is for me to see the references. So every time when you walk into the room and you go out, you want to always see the like no gaps, no connections. So this corner is right in the front of you when you enter the room and you see it. So we're gonna have one piece here, and I mark the end of it here, and then the teeny tiny piece there. Then we're gonna have full piece, another full piece, and then just whatever we have like left over. And I mean over here pretty much the same logic, like full piece. So let's start from putting one piece here on the back over there, because I'm gonna be coping the corners, so I'll use a straight piece, and then I'll be using 45° that I will cope with the saw, so it will catch any angle, any inside angle that possibly might be over here. So I'm gonna switch the camera angle so you can see it probably closer, just like so. Thank you everyone for joining, for your likes. So I would have to cut, actually I would have to cut first piece 22.5° so I can connect it. And I'll be using just my small old school saw that I really like for that kind of stuff, because it's easy to transport it and it's quite heavy duty, I would say. And it looks great for a small trim like that. I always like to keep my baby wipes handy, so then and you see I put just a bag from Home Depot to catch that dust. And then I made some holes in it, and when you cut it you have all the sawdust falling in there. And then you just collect that bag and you just throw it in the trash, and you have no trash in it. So let's get the first piece. I just wiped my fingers because they were quite dirty after that demo stuff. I'm gonna drop those two pieces as well in here, just like so. And let's get the first piece so it will go all the way to the wall. It also has some dirt on it, I guess from the store. Yeah. Okay, so this is 8-footer, and I'm gonna cut it 22.5°. And I set my saw kind of diagonal in here so I can use pretty much any side of it, and my saw won't be on the way. So this one would be 22.5°. And I'm gonna set it like that. And every time when you cut the crown molding, you want to make sure that's kind of that surface is perpendicular, and you hold it exactly the way it should be. And Then when you cut another piece, you'll have it again 22.5 degree, and they will blend right in. So yeah, just hold it like so. Yeah, I have a nice giant saw with a stand and everything, but it's just too heavy to carry, and for the small projects like that, that stuff works just fine. So and also a nice thing about that you won't be able to kind of leave the dent with your nail compared to the pine, because it's quite soft. So I cut that piece, and I just got one piece that shot in my eyebrow. So it was a nice reminder that I have to wear the eyes protection, because if it was my eye, it would be really painful, at least I would say. So I'm gonna take my time and do that, guys, because it doesn't worth it. Like one moment can leave you without your vision. So it's always better to protect your vision. So I'm gonna go to the car. I think I have it in my car. still can find those googles. Okay. Hi, Daniel Diadino. Hello, the plan is to install the crown molding, but I just got hit in the eye with a piece of the trim, which reminded me that I have to protect my eyes at all costs. So I'm trying to find my googles. So I'll be putting that trim, and this is the piece of the crown molding, and I'll be installing that. So yeah, I don't know where I put my glasses. I found my sunglasses, but it will make installation process much more darker there than it should be, I would say. So let me see. Gotcha. Like this live stream by double tapping, please, and consider subscribing to the channel. Yeah, those ceilings actually, they are really low in here, so I'm able to install everything without using a step ladder, which is quite cool when it comes to installation. So let me see what I have. I don't know where I have actually I don't know where I put them, guys. Guys, thank you for staying tuned. uh, yeah, it looks like that stream started losing some traction, so I'll probably restart it and you can join me again. uh, and I'll also probably divide it and be able to call this one installation and then previous one the demo. So stay tuned, guys. I'll be back in a few just with another live stream to start the installation kind of part. So subscribe not to skip that notification right now about the new stream that I will start in a few minutes. So thank you everyone and bless you. Bye.